Hey everybody, welcome to a special Autoblog live reveal. Today we've got the new generation of the Porsche Cayenne. This is, of course, their very important midsize SUV. I'm Greg Migliori. I'm here with John Snyder.
And yeah, we're excited to see the third generation of the Porsche Cayenne. We don't know much about it. We've seen some photos of it leaked online, and we've had some pretty revealing spy photos. You can find those on our website. But yeah, it's about to start up here soon. Looks like they're getting ready.
Yeah.
There's an orchestra playing right now, and we're just excited to hear what is in store for the new Cayenne.
Yeah, well said, John. So the reveal for, it's good for us because we get to have a little bit more deeper dives of these cars, and yeah, this is cool. Is where it should be still, and what are we expecting from this new one, John?
I think we can expect a lot of comfort. That's one thing that sets the SUVs apart from the rest of the Porsche lineup.
Sure.
People look for more comfort, more space.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we'll see some more of that amplified in the new generation. Hopefully it'll be even sportier than it is now. Currently, the Cayenne has 300 horsepower on tap, and I expect that we'll see more than that in this.
I think
generation.
that's a pretty safe bet. I think they're going to give it a little bit of a boost here. As with basically the trends, we're going to see probably some lightweighting techniques here. I think they'll definitely add a lot of different technologies, which I'm excited to see. Porsche's got a lot going on in the tech department. It's going to be cool to see which ones they pick and choose for the Cayenne, because they have a lot, and they could do a lot of different things to sort of tailor the Cayenne for different customers, different expectations. So that to me is going to be one of the storylines to watch throughout this reveal.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether they put more effort into user interface or driving dynamics technologies, efficiency. There's lots of different things, but obviously if you try and do it all, you're going to raise the price of the vehicle. So we're going to see where they pick and choose, and hopefully it doesn't end up being too much more expensive than the current vehicle.
I think it's critical too that they maintain, you know, the notion of Porsche, which I think they've done successfully in, you know, the Cayenne and the Macan. They've really, when I've driven those vehicles, I found them engaging, fun to drive. They sound good. I like the steering. They're fun sport utility vehicles, and I think that's definitely the challenge they face with this new generation of as continuing, you know, to translate that Porsche DNA into a sport utility vehicle. I have every confidence that they will do that.
Right. When you get into one of these cars, even if it's not what you grew up with, you still want it to feel like a Porsche when you're sitting in it. And you know, they've done that pretty well, especially with the later versions of their SUVs, especially the Macan lately. Getting into that, it definitely feels like a Porsche.
And the SUVs are fun to drive too. I remember last year, 2 years ago, I was driving a Macan. It was a fall day. I think I, you know, stuck a couple pumpkins in the thing, and it was a fun car to drive. It's crossover to drive, and you know, it was what it was. You know, I was totally accepting. I had sort of recalibrated my brain that this is an SUV. It's okay. In that case, it's more of a small crossover, but you know, once you sort of make your peace with that, it just truly, you know, enjoy what it is. They're really good vehicles.
It definitely takes some getting used to, but you know, once you put a bunch of people and a bunch of stuff in there and go fast with it, you know, it's you learn to love it pretty quickly.
I think too, it's you know, they've got the design right. They've got you know, they've definitely, you know, they've played around with some of the suspension tunings. You know, there's different versions of the Cayenne and the Macan. You know, you could get like sort of, you know, spicy, medium spicy, depending on just how quick, you know, you want to go and how much money you're willing to spend. I would argue with the Cayenne, you actually want more like the basic sort of models, because I mean, yes, go-fast SUVs are definitely a thing, as vehicles like the Jeep, you know, Trackhawk and all those hot Mercedes and, you know, the M SUVs have shown. But I think in this case, the basic models have been very good. You know, they're well-equipped, they're fun to drive, and then if you want that power or that more of that sporty handling, well, maybe that's where you start to look and say, hey, maybe I can make a 911, you know, fit my life.
Yeah, definitely. The base models, you know, compete with a lot more vehicles, the SRT vehicles, for instance. But,
sure.
You know, as you go up in price, the Air is a little more rarefied, but the customer base gets smaller too.
It's one of those things too where I think Porsche, you know, that's the original intent though of the Cayenne, was to in some ways expand the customer base, because they saw all of these Porsche, you know, fans who were basically going out and saying, well, we love our 911s, but hey, we got to go to an SUV. Speaking of SUVs, here's the new car. It's rolling onto the stage right now. Interesting tactic there. Violins and a band, and then just roll out the car. Usually they introduce it. First look at it, looks pretty good. Looks exactly like a Cayenne, what we expect. Design evolves a little bit, but you know, as with all Porsche design, you know, it's an evolutionary sort of style, and I think it looks pretty good. So let's listen in. We've got a Porsche executive taking the stage. Let's have a listen here.
Ladies and gentlemen, the new Porsche Cayenne. Please welcome the chairman of the executive board, Mr. Oliver Blume.
Was für ein furioser Auftakt.
What a great start, dear ladies and gentlemen.
Wir waren gerade
We've just
Augenzeugen
been here and eyewitnesses
einer Uraufführung.
of a world premiere.
Was Sie soeben
What
sahen,
you've just seen and heard
oder
was
eigens
composed
für den
and
heutigen
choreographed,
Abend
especially for tonight,
komponiert
for you.
und choreografiert. Eine Sinfonie
A symphony
in 4
in
Akten,
4 movements,
vorgetragen
presented
vom
by the Bohemia Symphony Orchestra from Prague,
und dem
And the
Bläserensemble
wind
des
ensemble of
Leipziger
Leipzig Gewandhaus Orchestra,
komponiert
composed
von
by Professor Jesse Milliner.
Hier live auf der
Here
Bühne,
live on
ergänzt und
stage,
begleitet
supplemented
von
and
11
accompanied by
Musikern
11 musicians
15
and
Tänzern.
15 dancers.
Eine Symphonie
A
der
symphony of
Talente,
talents,
der Qualitäten,
of qualities,
der Erlebnisse
of experiences,
und der
and
Leidenschaft.
of passions.
Eine Symphonie des
A
Lebens.
symphony of life.
Das Leben ist
Life
vielfältig.
is diverse,
So vielfältig
as diverse
wie die
as the various types
Einsatzmöglichkeiten
of use
des neuen
of the
Cayenne.
new Cayenne.
Deshalb heute Abend
Therefore,
diese
tonight,
Symphonie
this Symphony
of
of
Life.
Life
Eine
is an
Ode
ode
an den neuen
to the
Cayenne.
new Cayenne.
Willkommen in Zuffenhausen,
Welcome to
meine
Zuffenhausen,
sehr
my
verehrten
dear
Damen
ladies
und
and
Herren.
gentlemen,
Und vor allem
and first and
herzlich
foremost,
willkommen zur
welcome to the
Vorstellung des
presentation
neuen
of the
Porsche
new
Cayenne
Porsche Cayenne
hier in
here
unserem
in
Museum.
our museum.
Der Cayenne ist im
The
Kern
Cayenne
seit
in its
jeher
essence
ein
has always been
leistungsfähiger
a very
Alleskönner.
powerful all-rounder,
Verbindet
combining
ausgeprägte
distinctive
Sportlichkeit
sportiness
mit
with
luxuriösem
luxurious
Komfort.
comfort.
Er steht für
It stands for
faszinierende,
fascinating,
sportliche
sporty
Mobilität
mobility
in jeder
in each type
Lebenslage.
of use.
Heute ins
Today
Büro,
to the office,
morgen ins
tomorrow
Gelände.
to off-road
und am
terrain,
Wochenende
and
auf
on the
die
weekend
Rundstrecke.
to the track.
Der Cayenne garantiert Ambiente,
Guarantees
Präzision
atmosphere,
und
precision,
Fahrspaß
and
auf
driving
jedem
pleasure
Terrain,
on every terrain,
gepaart
paired
mit
with
Porsche-typischem
Porsche-typical design.
Daran hat sich über die
Nothing of this
verschiedenen
has changed across
Modellgenerationen
the various
hinweg
model
nichts
generations,
geändert. Außer,
except for the fact
dass der
that
Cayenne
every
mit
new
jeder
version of the Cayenne
Neuauflage
has
noch
become
ein wenig besser
just a
wurde.
little better.
Noch besser zu werden
Becoming
als
better
bisher,
than before.
das war auch unser Antrieb
This
bei der
was what
Entwicklung
moved us
der
forward
neuen
when we were
Generation.
developing the new generation.
Wir haben unser Erfolgsmodell
We've completely
komplett neu
redeveloped our
konzipiert.
success model,
Es in allen Belangen noch einmal
substantially
spür-
improving
sichtbar
and
verbessert
perfectioning it in all
und
aspects.
perfektioniert. Wir haben das Fahrzeug zudem
Furthermore,
weiter
we also
digitalisiert und
further
vernetzt,
digitize and network the
damit
vehicle,
konsequent
thus
auf die
orienting
Zukunft
it
ausgerichtet.
towards the future.
Es ist meine
And it
feste
is my firm
Überzeugung,
conviction
mit dieser dritten
this
Modellgeneration
third model generation
setzen
will
wir die
permit us
Erfolgsgeschichte
to seamlessly
Cayenne
continue the
nahtlos
success
fort.
story of the Cayenne.
Ferry Porsche
Ferry
sagte
Porsche
es bereits im
predicted
Jahr
it as early
1989.
as in 1989.
Ich zitiere:
I quote,
Wenn wir ein
"If we
Geländefahrzeug,
make an off-road vehicle based on our quality requirements
vorne steht Porsche
and
drauf,
put the Porsche lettering in front of
würde
it,
es auch verkauft.
it will sell."
Der große Visionär hat recht
The great
behalten.
visionary proved right.
10 Jahren gehört der Cayenne
Cayenne
zu den tragenden
It's one of
Säulen
the
des
main pillars of the
Geschäftserfolgs
business
von
success of Porsche for 15
Porsche
years.
hat den Mut besessen,
Porsche has mustered the courage to
Neues,
embark upon new,
ein
up to
unbekanntes
then
Terrain
unknown
vorzuwagen,
terrain, while at the
gleichzeitig
same time retaining unwaveringly its tradition
seinen Werten
and its
festzuhalten.
values.
Dieser Mut hat sich
This
ausgezahlt.
courage paid off.
Mit dem Cayenne ist
With
uns
the
eines
Cayenne,
gelungen, den Mythos
we were able
Porsche
to successfully the myth of
ein
Porsche
völlig neues
to
Marktsegment
completely new
zu
segment
übertragen.
to transfer it for the first time.
Unser Sportwagen
Our sports
im
car
SUV-Segment
in the
hat sich über
SUV
die
segment
vergangenen 1,5 Jahrzehnte
has been a
hinweg
bestseller and driver of growth over the last
Wachstumsmotor
15
erwiesen.
years.
Mehr noch.
More so,
Der Cayenne hat Porsche
Cayenne
die Türen
opened
in viele neue
many new
Märkte
markets for
geöffnet,
Porsche
ganz
and
wesentlich
substantially contributed to the internationalization
des
of our
Vertriebsnetzes
sales
beigetragen
network
und
and
zu einer
to
erheblichen
considerable
Verbreiterung
expansion
unserer
of our
Kundenbasis.
customer bases.
Bis heute
To
haben wir
date,
vom Cayenne insgesamt
sold
mehr als
overall
760.000 Fahrzeuge
More than
produziert.
760,000 units of the Cayenne. The
500.000,
second generation launched in 2009 accounted for about 500,000.
die 2009 auf den Markt kamen. Mit der dritten
With the third
Generation
generation,
werden wir dieser Erfolgsgeschichte
we
heute
will add a
Abend
new
ein
chapter
weiteres
to this
Kapitel
success
hinzu.
story tonight.
Der neue Cayenne wirkt
The new
auf
Cayenne
den ersten Blick schon deutlich
Makes a
sportlicher.
substantially sporty impression at first
Karosserie ist
glance.
länger,
The body is longer, wider,
Der Heckbereich ist
the rear
flacher
end
und
is
dynamischer
flatter
gestaltet.
and more dynamic.
Unser Designteam
And our
wird
design
Ihnen
team
dazu
will
gleich
tell
mehr
you more
erzählen.
details about this shortly.
Durch
Due
intelligenten
to intelligent
Leichtbau
lightweight
mit
construction
100%
with
Aluminium
100%
in der
aluminum in the
Außenhaut
outer skin,
der Cayenne
the
bis zu
Cayenne
65 Kilogramm leichter
lost
geworden.
up to 65 kilograms.
Gleichzeitig die Serie
Back, we've seen the car. I think it looks exactly like Cayenne, exactly what we
Looks-
expected. What do you think, John?
It's definitely more of an evolution than a revolution. but it looks good.
It does look good.
I think people are definitely going to be pleased with the way it looks. When you've got a good formula, you don't want to go in and mess with it too much. And I think that's what's going on here.
Some reactions from, we'll go to the social platforms here. Facebook commenter dares us to pick the difference between a 2017 and a 2018 Cayenne. I get where he's coming from. It is pretty close. Another commenter thinks it does look that much better than the old Cayenne. So, there's some strong reactions here. But I think it's one of those things where, like to your point, John, this is an evolutionary model. It's the kind of thing where, they don't want to take too many risks because, this is one of their products that is, it's not a crazy risk-taking vehicle. They want to, sort of stay the course, keep those loyal customers who already are looking at the sports cars. And, just my initial impression is it's looking like a winner. I love those big wheels. Taillights look good in back. Wheel arches look a little more prominent to me. I think they sort of dialed up a little bit of the design language. It's just a little more, I'd say, visceral. It's almost like the Cayenne in high def, but it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it definitely has a sporty character to it with the that long hood and the rear spoiler, and it's looks. Maybe it's slightly larger than it was, but it still looks like it should. Like it looks like a fast SUV.
Absolutely. Well put. Let's. They're still moving on with their presentation, so let's listen back in.
As a standard fit, we have the new 8-speed Tiptronic S and the active all-wheel drive Porsche traction management. For the first time, the Cayenne has mixed tires and an optional rear axle steering system. This means that our SUV model has even more genes of the sports car Ico 911. An even larger versatility between comfort and sportiness are provided by the 3-chamber air suspension and the electronics roll stabilization with a 48-volt onboard network. Another innovation is the new high-performance brake called Porsche Surface Coated Brake. A coating from tungsten carbide reduces the braking path and minimizes wear. Together with an even lesser weight due to intelligent lightweight measures, all these measured components set new standards in the Cayenne in terms of drive dynamics, safety and everyday use suitability. Dear ladies and gentlemen, you know Porsche and you know the Cayenne base model and the Cayenne S are only the beginning. Other modifications are to follow. I'm sure
Okay, we're back. We've basically seen the car now. We've heard some of the specs, some of the new features. Something that I found interesting is, they did confirm that there'll be a base model and, of course, the Cayenne S, exactly like what we expected. Of course, there will be higher, more performance-oriented models coming as well. But they also mentioned that there will be plug-in versions of the Cayenne and the Macan. Again, kind of expected, but John, his day job is as our green editor when he's not driving the Demon. What do you think of that?
I definitely like to hear that. I think it's a strategy that Porsche has to do, and I think every luxury automaker is going to have to do at some point. Volvo, Audi, Aston Martin just announced that they were going to add electrification to their cars. Maserati, so it's definitely the thing to do. It's not just for efficiency. It adds more power, and it can provide power where the internal combustion engines can't. From the low end, you don't have turbo lag. You've got an electric motor with torque on tap from 0 RPM.
I think it's a great move for them, especially when the companies like Porsche have used plug-in technology in the performance setting. I've generally found these vehicles to be well executed. They're fun. To your point, they add a different kind of performance that you can't get using some traditional methods. So I think this is a really great thing. It will add efficiency, which I think is critical. And I like the use of the plug-in method. I think that's cool. That's what they should be doing.
Yeah, definitely, especially as Porsche's pushing more electric cars like the Mission E, and they're working on filling out their charging infrastructure too, especially in Europe. It's going to be a winning strategy for them.
As we look at some of the design here, we've got those bold headlights with the multi-elements. The lights just came right on. Pretty cool. I think the grille looks a little busier to me. That's kind of cool, I think. You're seeing a little bit more horizontal strafing. The hood looks long. It's contoured. You got that big, bold Porsche crest right in the middle. It's a clean look, but I think they sort of enhanced it in all the right ways.
It is a clean look. It's a little more dynamic, but I think it reflects the added power that it's getting. It's getting boosted up to, what was it, 340?
340 horsepower, 332 pound-feet of torque. It's a 3-liter single-turbo V6 in the base Cayenne. The Cayenne S is 2.9 liters with a twin-turbo V6. That's going to give you 440 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque. That sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, and it's faster than the other one, too, doing 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds for the base Macan. Base Cayenne, and
right.
The with the Sport Chrono package that goes down to 5.6 seconds. The Cayenne S, it does 0 to 60 in 4.9 or 4.6 with the Sport Chrono package.
Would you get the Sport Chrono package on the Cayenne? To me, it seems kind of like, do you really need that? But I don't know. I love the Sport Chrono package too. I think I would.
It adds definitely a cool atmosphere to the cabin.
Sure.
It definitely, I always feel like there's a little bit of racing heritage there.
Absolutely.
Especially, with Porsche, it's got, the ignition on the left side, going back to the Le Mans roots, and I think the Sport Chrono package is sort of one of those throwback things is really cool.
It's one of those things too where if you're already going to spend this much money on the car, that's the one option. I would be like, yeah, I'm going to make my stand here. I want this one. I can live without some of the different, this is bad to say, safety and technology things, but give me that sport package. That's what I want. And, I think it seems like a winning combination here. They, so we know it's going to be lighter. There's more aluminum used this time than the last generation. This is the MLB platform, which is used on the Q7. You're seeing a lot of the Volkswagen Group sort of family of brands here working together. I think that's okay. The vehicles look different enough. They go to different buyers, different sort of performance applications. So I'm okay with that. And when you really look at Volkswagen's platforms, it's like there's almost like 3 or 4, and they're used on everything, but they're modified so much that they're sort of, tailored to fit what each brand stands for.
Yeah, it's becoming a more and more common strategy to make their platforms modular among automakers. It gives them a little more freedom, makes it, I think, easier to update the cars or to create new models. But yeah, I think it also helps them save money and time in the manufacturing process, and here they're able to save weight. They're saving 143 pounds.
That's big.
Yeah, and it's a bigger car too. They're adding more cargo room. It's slightly longer, a couple inches longer than the old one. So it's pretty impressive that they're able to do that.
I think, that's the name of the game right now, is you basically have to find a way to get weight out of your cars. Cars were, even Toyota and General Motors and Ford, with their big SUVs, they're finding ways to get, 100, 200 pounds out of these things by making smarter use of, materials. It's not just aluminum, it's composites, it's aluminum and high-strength steel, and they're doing these things because, that's sort of like low-hanging fruit. It's not low-hanging, it's very difficult to do. But that's how you can get fuel economy gains without even changing the powertrain. Your car's lighter.
Yeah, it can be more expensive, but also, it makes it lighter. It also makes it stronger. A lot of these high-strength steels have that dual purpose. And they're finding ways to build the structure of the car more efficiently, leaving material where they need it and removing it from where they don't.
Makes sense. Here's a couple other cool features. We haven't talked about them, but you're going to want to hear about them. We've got available rear axle steering, which is going to help with the agility of the vehicle. It's available on some other Porsches, and on this one, that just, I think that's a really good thing. It's an SUV that's a little bit more flexible, and it's a really cool feature.
It's always interesting to drive a car with that rear wheel steering.
It's a different dynamic. It really is.
It definitely, there's the benefit of the tighter turning circle, which is great for parking, especially in a larger car like this. But even on the highway, it just moving from lane to lane, the car stays pretty flat and balanced, and it just almost feels like it glides from one lane to the other. It's an interesting feeling. It takes a little getting used to, but it feels great.
It's one of those things where, like, the first time you do it, you're a little unsure, like, what's going on here. Then, like, the second time, for me, it all just kind of clicked. I was like, oh, this makes perfect sense. And it's a differentiator. You get in one of those, and, maybe you're cross-shopping this with, I don't know, maybe the Audi or, some of the Maserati offerings. And you're like, well, this is cool. It's not just, oh, this is Porsche's, a sports car brand. Here's their SUV. It's like, here's this cool feature, which, it's available on some of their other cars, but I think it's especially useful on this this crossover.
Yeah, I'm glad they definitely took the chance to, use technology to the advantage of driving dynamics, because it's a Porsche, you want to drive well, and yeah, they had the opportunity to do that, and they put it in there, and I think it's something that people will actually enjoy using. It's going to make driving a Cayenne feel more like driving a car.
Yeah, so some of our commenters, we've got some, some up and down comments. Somebody is comparing it to some of the bad old Land Rovers. I guess that's a fierce one. Asking about the rear steering. We've got, it's up and down reactions here. Lots of people are watching this video, though, so that's good as far as people who are just excited about, the Cayenne, what it means, what they might want. We're getting a look at the interior. Looks pretty good to me. Again, what I expected, but it seems like what they're doing is, as with all, like the 911 and, the 718, the insides are pretty simple. You get into the Panamera, that's one car that I feel like for a while there were too many buttons. They realized that was a mistake and they cleaned it up. It looks like, the Cayenne has not sort of submitted to that mistake. It looks pretty clean judging from this feed, but we'll see.
Yeah, it seems like there's still a lot of buttons, but maybe not as many as you'd find in some other cars. You get in some Porsches and they're loaded with buttons, and then there's if they don't have all the features there's little dead buttons in those spots, and it kind of looks weird.
I'm not a fan of that. And actually, as you look at sort of the center console by the shifter, that's an 8-speed transmission, by the way. I'm not really wild about all of those buttons. Just, we're kind of seeing this for the first time. We'll get a closer look, of course, when we do the first drive of this car, and then we get it here at the fleet here in Michigan. But, I don't know. That still looks like a lot of buttons to me as we're getting a little bit of a closer look.
Yeah, when you include a lot of buttons, Porsche, it's a lot of they've got buttons specifically for the suspension, specifically for the exhaust. A lot of times, different parts of what could be packaged into larger driving modes. Just give me a setting that I can customize to my own preference, and that's what I'm going to use 90% of driving.
So here's our instant poll. This is strictly looking at some of the likes on Facebook. Looks like we've got a few people are doing the ha-ha sort of emoticon. We've got a good number of loves, and then it looks like the overwhelming number of people just straight up like it. So Porsche, it looks like you're winning the hearts and minds, at least initially, of this vehicle. And, we'll see. This is a critical vehicle. So the feed is wrapping up. You see people are sort of ascending onto the stage there down or in Germany. So that's the feed. We now know everything basically we're going to know about this car. Other thoughts, John?
Well, we're going to have a lot more information about it coming soon. The Frankfurt show is coming up, and we'll get a close look at it there. We have people on the ground in Stuttgart.
Including yourself will be on the ground in Germany in a couple weeks.
But, there's going to be a lot more information about this car coming out. but so far, it's good to know that it's more powerful. It's got some better driving dynamics potentially through some of this technology, and more space without sacrificing efficiency.
Couple other critical details you need to know. So this will be coming to the United States as a 2019 model. We now know that. The base MSRP is $65,700. That's for the basic car. And then the up-level model, the next model, is $82,900. We could confirm pricing today. That's kind of cool. Those prices do not include the delivery fee, which is another $1,050. So some numbers kind of coming right in here. That's good. We expect it to hit dealers around the middle of 2018.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to have its own off-road precision app, which I'm not exactly sure what that's going to consist of, but it says it allows you to sort of document off-road driving, maybe sort of a data recorder, and looks like maybe you can take some video recording with that too.
That's cool. I would expect that more for a Jeep, perhaps. Yeah. But, hey, that's cool. Generally, I know, the Cayenne and the Macan are capable of going in some off-road settings, but I generally just look at them as they're just like naturally performance vehicles. To me, it's like a Porsche that happens to be an SUV. So, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to expand their base here a little bit. Maybe the drive program's going to be on the Rubicon. I don't know. It sounds cool, though.
Yeah, you don't really picture people taking their Maserati or Porsche or Bentley SUVs off-road, but they test them in all sorts of different environments, and they make sure they're capable for them, and just to make sure they can compete with like the Land Rovers and the Jeeps of the world.
So let's see. We've got some more reaction coming in here. Lots of people rolling in, want to weigh in on this vehicle. If you are watching this at home, head to the Autoblog Facebook page, reach out to us on Twitter. We want to hear what you have to say. Even if once this live feed ends, it's not going to go on forever. Still hit us up on our social platforms. Again, we want to hear what you think, and I'm sure Porsche does as well. Some cool reaction here is that the interior is the focal point of the vehicle of this update. I would agree with that, in addition to the technology and the more power, but the interior does carry a lot of the water here. We've got commenter weighing in saying the wheels don't look good in their opinion. Says to take a design class from the Land Rover Velar. Wow. Shots fired.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of comments about this comparing it to Land Rover. So it's interesting that's maybe where they're going to find a lot of their, maybe some of their conquest sales. But they're going to have to convince people that this is really the off-road SUV that you want to be able to win over those customers.
I think it's, we'll kind of wrap this up here, but it's interesting, when this vehicle launched, 2 generations ago, that was like 15 years ago, a little less than that. Yeah. Totally different landscape. Maserati, Land Rover was a totally different thing. Jaguar, these guys either weren't doing SUVs or they were different kinds of SUVs. So many people are now in this space. They're adding their own take to it. We've got, Bentley, Audi is, in a much stronger place than they were, at the turn of this century. So it's, this Cayenne is going to go into one of the most crowded and competitive marketplaces, than it ever has before. I think it's well equipped, but I think it's facing some serious competitors.
Yeah, and it's going to have more competition soon. There's going to be, there's rumors of Ferrari.
Ferrari's SUV? Looking at something, yeah, maybe not an SUV, but some sort of crossover.
Aston Martin, we've been hearing about things Lamborghini's working on, so those obviously are going to be more expensive than the base Cayennes, but there will be later Cayennes that will provide more content and more performance that will compete at those higher levels.
Competing at the higher level, that's what the Cayenne has always meant for Porsche. It, Over a decade ago, it put them in a new space. You could see that sort of ethos is continuing with this generation of the Cayenne. I think we both agree it looks pretty good. The specs, the performance, the technology appears to be there. All that's left for us now is to drive it. And for you, we want to hear from you again. Reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, all of our social platforms, and let us know what you think. Thanks for watching this live feed. We've had a great time bringing it to you today. We're going to bring you more of these in the future. This is definitely something that's a lot of fun, and we hope you enjoy it. He's John Snyder. I'm Greg Migliori. Thanks for watching.